Hey guys, it's your boy Nico here from the Small Axe Podcast. I want to show you how to use your small axe to build a lasting empire. You see, not everybody begins their investing career with millions of dollars, a huge network of investors, or the knowledge necessary to become successful in this space, and that's okay. What I focus on here on this podcast is helping you hone your skills, sharpen your tools to become the best investor that you can be. Now, I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this show. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to me or the guest, feel free to do so. Love you guys. Okay, Small Axe people, Small Axe community, it's me, Nico. This is my 200th episode of the podcast. This is something to be proud of. This is something of an accomplishment, of an achievement for me. And hopefully you've been listening for a while, that you know that I've been intending to provide as much value as possible to you guys throughout this entire process, throughout this journey. All right, episode 200. Since this is my 200th episode, I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about podcasting in general, how my thoughts have changed and how my approach have changed from episode 1, or even prior to getting into podcasting, to now. So when I began podcasting, I was under the impression that I needed to have the most up-to-date, coolest technology to have a podcast. So I ended up buying a really nice DSLR camera, setting everything up really nicely down in my little studio that I had. I put pictures behind me. I had like the whole camera, the professional camera set up to where like the background was going to be blurred. And I had a setting, and I had a very nice microphone, which I actually haven't used in a long time. And I'm hoping you guys can at least appreciate or still enjoy my podcast with my poor microphone. I don't use a microphone anymore, although I might go back to it at some point. It's just right now, my schedule doesn't permit me to really be working from home too much. So it is what it is. You might also notice that on today's episode, I am recording from my telephone, which is the first time I've ever done that. I don't have my laptop with me, and I don't have my traditional background. So I'm now in outer space like an alien. So when I first started a podcast, this was years ago. It was 2020, I believe, or maybe 21. I don't recall. Either way, I had been thinking about it for a while. And the reason why I wanted to start a podcast, and if you want to start a podcast, you should think of your reasons as well, because this is going to be very important, and you'll find out in a minute. I wanted to start a podcast for marketing purposes as well as for educational purposes. Having a podcasting platform, especially the way that I was running it and still mainly do, is an interview platform where I would interview the leaders or industry leaders in the multifamily space. And it has served me well to get many questions answered, to network with those people, to learn more about their journey and inspire myself and inspire you guys. So there was a little selfish component in it where I was trying to learn myself, as well as me utilizing the material from it, like social media material with video clips and audiogram clips, and even having a YouTube page where I can publish and post all this stuff, all this content. It all kind of gives you authority in the space. That was my main goal. Those were my main goals for starting a podcast. Now, if you feel like you want to start a podcast, just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, and make sure that you could stay in for the long term. And I'm going to get to that in a second. This is episode 200, guys, and I put out one episode a week. Sometimes I run into troubles with getting guests on. So, sometimes I forget, or sometimes I don't have any pre-recorded. Like right now, this is Friday, the 31st of May, and this thing's got to air on Monday, June, whatever it is, 3rd, so of 2024. So sometimes this happens. And I do these podcasts and I make sure that I'm consistent with them to provide as much value for you guys, because that is my ultimate goal. If I'm not providing you any value, then I'm not successful in my own mind. And it's important for me to be able to provide you guys with value. So I'm hoping I'm doing that. And today's episode discussing, podcasting in general, and I'm going to go into more deep depth of other things as well, hopefully will provide you value, because I know that a lot of my listeners have either started their own podcasts or have been thinking about it for a while. And today's episode is not just going to be on podcasting, so please stick around. till the end. So here's some quick statistics about podcasting, and then I want to talk a little bit more about them. So interestingly enough, now in 2024, there are over 500 million people listening to podcasts. Crazy, 500 million. I'm just looking on, I just did a quick Google search. The average listener spends about 7 hours a week listening to podcasts. That's pretty sick. Episodes between 20 and 40 minutes reign supreme, catering to the busy schedules and short attention spans. Gender does not matter here, except women beat out men by 48 to 43% of women are listening, 43% of men. But I'm a dude, I listen, and all my friends do as well. Anyway, all right, podcasting is not just an American thing. It's Sweden and Norway apparently have the largest number of monthly listeners by percentage. That's pretty crazy. Video podcasts are on the rise, and Spotify and Apple lead the charge. So make sure you are on both platforms, Spotify and Apple, if you're going to do it. Peak listening time is in the morning, and they're mostly on mobile devices, the way people are listening. Good stuff to know, okay? The amount of listeners has been increasing tremendously, 20%, 10%. Oh, my goodness. So 8%. The lowest that I'm seeing here in the past 5 years or so has only been 9% growth. I mean, this is growing very fast. So it is important to be on this platform, either as a listener, listening to podcasts, or creating podcasts. Now, here's something else that I really, really wanted to point out to you about podcasting. So persistence is key. According to a podcast study by Amplify Media, 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 3. And another 90% quit after episode 20. So by publishing 21 episodes, you place yourself in the top 1% of podcasters. So that is actually pretty incredible, knowing that. If I know that I can be in the top 1% of podcasters just by getting to episode 21, that's epic. If you can have something published on air that is evergreen, that is going to sit there for a while, you get 21 episodes in, somebody might find you. Somebody might reach out to you. So don't take this for granted if you're looking to start a podcast. Okay. Those are extremely and great and important reasons to have a podcast and to stay with it. Now backtrack a little bit. I don't think everybody should be a podcaster. And you have to sit back and think about why you want to be a podcaster and make sure you're going to do it. Over the 200 episodes, there have been so many times where I felt like quitting. I was like, first of all, I'm paying for monthly services to get these things edited. I'm paying for the platform to publish them. I'm paying for so many different things. I'm paying a few $100s a month just to have a podcast. What the heck is the point of this? Right? Yes, I want to provide value to you guys, but I also need some sort of monetary return, which I don't get from my podcast unless I'm gaining investors, right? So for me, by gaining authority in this space, I might be able to win some investors or get the attention of some investors that might want to invest with me down the road. And that is key and crucial for me as well. Provide value, get investors, and hopefully have some sort of a platform that is educational that people can always look at and enjoy. Okay. But you might not need a podcast. So nobody else on my team, well, I can't say that anymore, but most people that I work with don't have a podcast, and it's not necessary. Not everybody on your multifamily team should be having their own podcast. You're essentially competing with each other at that point. So it's not always necessary. And make sure that if you are starting a podcast, it's on a topic that you really love to discuss, because you're going to burn out if you don't. Make sure it's something that you're going to commit to for a couple of years at least. Don't give up. Don't start doing one episode a day and then dial back. I recommend the opposite. I recommend doing one a week. And then if you feel like you can ramp it up a little bit, then ramp it up down the road. But do not start off all gung-ho, say I'm going to do one episode a day and then quit after a few episodes. You will not be in the top 1%. Very important to know. Okay. So make sure your goal is aligned and your what you want to achieve with your podcast is very clear and that you are committed to it. Don't give up. And this the next thing I want to talk to you about is your back end business. And this kind of leads into it. So if you are looking to be a multifamily investor, an active multifamily investor, a general partner like myself, you're going to have to figure out how that's going to be. So you're going to need some brand. Well, not everybody will need what I needed. If you have millions of dollars, you might not need anything but a partner to invest your millions of dollars with. And you could become a general partner with that person who already has an established business or is working on their own established business and brand, because you need capital to invest, whether it's your capital or somebody else's capital. If you have the problem like I had of not having your own capital, then what you need to do is go the route of creating a brand, creating awareness for what you do, and getting a following so that you will eventually be able to have investors in your deal. Even the wealthiest of people or of investors that want to continue to scale will need to eventually have investors. You cannot scale yourself without investors, okay? Even if you have millions of dollars, once those millions of dollars are deployed and invested in working in a few deals or a number of deals or one deal, you're going to need to scale, or you're going to want to scale. And if you do want to scale, you're going to need more capital. So in order to get more capital, you have to create a presence for yourself. You have to have a brand. You have to be somebody that people want to invest with and that people can trust. In the most simplest form of your brand, it could just be your friends and family. Let's say, again, I'm that guy with millions of dollars and all my friends have millions of dollars as well. So once I'm tapped out, I just say, hey, Bob, want to invest with me on this deal? And he or she, after seeing you investing and operating your deals for a while, will probably have the confidence to invest with you. So then there goes your first investor, right? And you don't necessarily need to create a website, a full brand, a full company. You don't necessarily need to do that at that level if you're scaling only a little bit at a time. However, if your ultimate objective, like myself, is to scale to as big as you can possibly go, then you're going to need investors and you're going to need to continually fill that pipeline of investors. And in order to do that, people need to know, like, and trust you. How do they get to know you? By meeting you through networking, by learning about you on podcasts, by learning about what kind of a person you are in when you do webinars or host events, right? So you have to network with people and you have to put content out there for people to kind of get to know you. And then they will decide whether or not they like you. And then over time is when they build trust. If you can maintain somebody's attention for a good amount of time, let's say months, and they're seeing you either on social media or on your podcasts or on your newsletters or during your webinars or during your meetup groups, if you're hosting any of these platforms and producing social media content, after a certain period of time, they will get to trust that you are somebody that is staying in this multifamily space, and that is somebody that they can trust and rely on, and eventually invest with. It's so challenging, to gain credibility, especially for somebody like myself who's coming from the education industry, right? I'm a school teacher. Why would somebody automatically all of a sudden think that now I'm a multifamily investor? It's weird, right? So you're going to have to build a business if your goal is to scale, regardless of whether or not you have millions of dollars or whether you have $0. You need to build a business and a brand and a following of people that see that you're doing this professionally and you're capable of making them money as investors. It will take time. You will get a shit ton of negative feedback and no's from people and criticism and side eyes saying, who the heck is this guy trying to ask me for money? Well, that's not really how it works. How it works is you have to back into this. You have to think that you are and know that you are getting the best deals out there, deals that will make yourself money, deals that will make your friends and family richer, right? That's how you have to think about it. When you find those deals that will make people richer, you get people involved and pitch it to them. Say, guys, I found this epic deal. I'm going to do a webinar. I want to present it to you. And you get as many people to attend your webinar as possible. You send out as many emails to everybody that you know as possible, keeping in mind SEC regulations, of course. Sorry, I got to clap to keep the light on here. Oh, it's gone. Anyway, so make sure that you are gathering as many people to these webinars as possible and pitching to as many people as possible. You want to spread the word. My first deal, out of like 600 people that I reached out to, yes, 600, and I wish I had more, but I didn't have any more on my list that I could claim as having a substantive relationship with SEC. After 600, I had 6 or so, maybe 8 people invest. So take it's less than like what, 1% of people that will invest. I don't know. Pretty bad. So, and then my second deal I tried to raise on, I completely flopped. I didn't get anybody to invest in. And that happened to me a couple more times. And then finally, the third or fourth time, I got some people a little bit curious. They're like, fine, I kind of see what you're doing. You went full cycle on this 194 unit. You've been in this game for a while. You're consistently posting and preaching. You're consistently creating podcasts and content. I think that maybe I'm gaining some trust in you at this point. And I got a couple more investors. And then my last deal that I did was I guess the easiest for me to get investors involved. And I had some surprises, surprise people that invested with me that I just didn't think would. You keep asking people, keep saying, hey, check out this deal. This is an awesome deal. This is the one for you. And they're going to say no a million times. Don't get discouraged. They will say yes eventually. Now, this day and age, I'm not at this stage. I'm not able to go raise $10 million. I can't, and I know my limits. Maybe I can raise 500 or so, maybe $1 million max, but I can always get people in to help me raise that capital as well. So I kind of know where I land when I'm looking for deals. I don't want to buy a $20 million deal. I just can't do it right now, and I'm not going to be responsible for trying to raise and get all these capital raisers involved and then owning 0.5% of this deal while I'm managing everything and getting all the work done. It's too much work, guys. It might seem like lucrative or prestigious. I don't know what you want to call it, to own a 200-door deal, right, for $20 million. That's not what I'm looking for right now. And get clear on that. Get clear on what you're looking for. Know your limits. Yes, I know everybody's like, oh, set these big, hairy, audacious goals. I get it. I get that too. But my BHAG is to grow and expand as much as possible in the space that I know so that I can incrementally grow. If I go from my biggest property is a 28 unit. If I go from a 28 unit to 150 unit, it's not going to work. I'm comfortable going to a 70 unit and making that raise happen. But that's probably my limit right now. And it's okay. It's okay to know my limits. This is a long game. And this is something that's going to take 10 years or more. Know that, feel that, believe that, stay committed. Okay. Make sure you're doing all the right things. Don't start a social media platform that you only post one thing or a few things in the next few months and then give up. That is a waste of time and energy. You have to be dedicated. You have to be committed to consistency. People will not trust you, right? This goes back to know, like, and trust. And you need people to invest with you. People will not trust you if you're floundering. People will not trust you if you're not consistent. People will not trust you if you're not persistent. Okay. Make sure you're doing all these things. Now, if you want to start your own podcast, I've helped a few people start their podcast. You can reach out to me, www.smallactscommunities.com. Guys, again, I don't ask for you to pay for anything. I'm still just looking for people to talk with and connect with. I'm still at that phase. I'm not going to be there for much longer. I keep saying this. So go to my website. You'll be able to book a call with me, typically at during my lunch times during the day. It's a 15-minute Zoom call. We could even just chat and have some fun and get to know each other. I can give you advice. We could talk about multifamily deals. We could talk about what's happening in the industry, etc. We don't have to just talk about creating a podcast. We don't have to just talk about raising capital. But I have a lot of resources I can provide you with. And if I don't have the physical resources like templates for you to do things that you need to do, I can provide you with guidance and or people. I can connect you with people that will help you. So make sure that you are focused on what you want to do. You have a vision, you have a goal, you stay committed and persistent. Kick some butt out there. Episode 200, guys, I made it. If you get this, post this somewhere. Say congrats to Nico, episode 200. I would love it. It would mean the world to me. I don't ask for anything else, guys. Just kind of show some love to the podcast and let's keep rocking. I love you guys.
All right. Hey, Small Acts community. I would like to say thank you for listening to another episode of my podcast where we show you how to use your small acts to build a lasting empire. Now, if you liked what you heard, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. Also, if you want to get in touch with me, go to my website at smallactscommunities.com. Book a call with me. And until the next episode, keep sharpening those axes.